Well, last time you talked, it was the end of The Good Wife.
Yeah.
And you were very sad
I
to
know, I
say
was
goodbye
sad,
to
yeah.
all the fabulous clothes. So what was your reaction when you heard about the Good Fight
Well,
spin-off?
we knew that the good fight was maybe in the offing. We'd heard rumors of it, but it had not gelled yet. And our big thing was, do we get rid of all the clothes when we're done with the good wife, or do we hang on to stuff? And we kept pushing and pushing to find out. And then we did a little show between the two called Brain Dead, which was a summer series for CBS. That was one season that Robert Michelle King, who created Good Wife and Good Fight, did as well. And while we were doing that, it came down that we were actually going to do The Good Fight, so we were very excited.
What I love with what you did with The Good Wife was that you redefined the power suit. Like you made like dressing for work fun and aspirational and sophisticated. So what was your goal going into The Good Fight? Was it to just like up the ante a little bit more?
Well, I think we definitely upped the ante. With the first episode of The Good Fight, we knew that people would tune in looking for the good wife, because that was its mothership. But then by the end of The Good Fight, that first episode, we knew we needed to have its own show, its own feeling. Otherwise, people wouldn't continue to tune in because it was too similar. So Robert and Michelle King, who, again, I said created the show, they were so brilliant with sort of starting us off with that. People were very familiar with The Good Wife, and they felt comfortable. And by the end of that episode, we were in a new series. So that was really exciting. Now, for me, and the clothing, I felt like that I went in and wanted to do more. I felt like the lead character, Diane, played by the great Christine Baranski. We all bow at her feet. She's amazing. We knew that character was at the very, very top of her game, and that she was going to be retiring from the law firm and buy a house or a chateau in France, and really at the top of her game. So I thought, her clothes can really be pretty fabulous. And then she finds out she's broke, and because she was involved with a Ponzi scheme. So as opposed to The Good Wife, where she was already successful, and her look didn't really change throughout the 7 seasons. Once we got to The Good Fight, her character really goes on a roller coaster ride, and we were able to really adjust her wardrobe from episode to episode and season to season, which has been kind of fun. And coming into the second season of the Good Fight, she's sort of taken on this whole, oh, what the heck attitude. She uses the F word, but because we're cable now and we can do it. But it's, what the heck, and attitude with her clothing. And so I got really inspired by Roman women, how they're so chic and elegant, and they just take these different pieces that sort of you wouldn't think would go together, and then they throw them on, and suddenly they look fabulous and sort of unencumbered and unintentional. And that's what we wanted with her, to go along with that sort of attitude that she had. The other thing that we wanted to do was her dismay with the political scene that's out there right now. Robert and Michelle really wanted to take on politics head on in this season. And I wanted to add sort of this armored element to her look. So we brought in a lot of metallics and pairing lots of textures and colors and patterns that wouldn't normally go together. And we sort of wrapped that all together to sort of create this armored look for her, which I thought was really fun. There was actually an episode, like maybe halfway through the season, where it was like she had like 5 or 6 outfits, and every single outfit had metallic in it. And
There's a lot of gold metallic.
A lot of gold metallic, and I love that. And it's funny, like what inspires you. Like I was sort of inspired by like 16th century Spanish paintings, and I know that sounds so silly, but somehow it really resonated with me, all the textures and the colors. Like I think our show is an oil painting, and I know that's how the DP lights it. It's not a watercolor, it's not soft colors. Yes, we use lighter tones, but they're deep and they're rich, and there are lots of patterns and lots of textures, and so I just thought the two played off each other so well, and so I really tried to pull that into what I was doing with Christine's look. on the show.
It really also contrasts with her style on The Good Wife, and even most of season 1, because we mostly saw her in solids in those episodes. So, and it kind of symbolizes like the chaos in her life. Like,
Right, yeah,
she's
totally.
microdosing.
Yes, she's microdosing. Aren't we all? No, what? No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not. No, it's like kind of, my whole thing was I wanted to empower my actresses. They are strong women, and I thought, why have women dress sort of masculinely when, I have these very strong women? I want to celebrate the femininity and their strength. So we really brought that into their looks. And on The Good Wife, I had 3 leading ladies, and on this show, I have 5 leading ladies. And so it sort of upped the ante a little bit for me with that, and we were really able to explore that. I also love the diversity of The Good Fight. I defy you to find any other show on TV that has more diversity than The Good Fight, and it's really exciting in the current landscape and everything that's happening out there right now. So it's really exciting.
So how much of the clothing do you source, and how much do you custom make? Is there anything?
My principal men, I build almost everything. I design their suits and their shirts, and I have them built. Because, we build like a nice big closet of clothes for the men, and then we sort of rotate suits and whatnot. Then the leading ladies, we will custom, I would say maybe like 15%, maybe 20% of the wardrobe, particularly through companies, like companies such as Acris or Lafayette 148 New York. We have this lovely company in New York called Style Paris, and they're fabulous. They're really wonderful, but I can go in and be like, I love that shape. Can we do this fabric and do this? And they'll custom pieces for me, or Acris will order extra fabric for me from Europe so that I can modify whatever I find. I mean, I kind of, Pat Field, who I totally love and worship, great costume designer. And, her thing is, well, it looks great after I dye it and take off the sleeves and add different sleeves and add a belt and shorten it and put gores in it. And then it's the perfect piece. And I really resonate with that. And that's what we try to do. Like I had this fabulous Gucci jacket that we used on Christine this season, and it had these huge bows down the front, and I kept trying to use it with the bows, and then finally I was like, it's wrong. It just didn't feel right, so I got rid of the bows. We added lace all over it. We shortened it. We shortened the sleeves. We kind of remade the jacket, and suddenly it was like kind of perfect, and I guess
it's a Dan Lawson original.
It's a Dan Lawson original now by way of Gucci, I shop high and I shop low. I kind of don't really care about brand names as long as I get the look and the style and the effect that we want, and that I'm telling the story that Robert and Michelle are trying to tell, and that I'm supporting the actors with what they want to do with the roles that they're playing. So I would say the majority of the women, probably 80% is shopped. And again, we go everywhere. We'll go to resale shops. We'll go to Bergdorf's. We'll go to Macy's. We'll, H&M. Being in New York, we're really lucky because we have a lot of boutiques that we can take advantage of. I live in a really progressive little town in New Jersey, and there's some great designers there, and I will go there. And the other thing that's been really fun on the first episode of this season on the Good Fight, we had this civil rights leader who had passed away, and it was Audra McDonald's father in the story. And so we got to do this amazing funeral, this sort of African-American community big church funeral, and it was so exciting to get to go to all these wonderful stores and source these pieces. And a lot of it actually came from the little town I live in, so that was really fun, yeah.
I'm so glad you brought up the suits earlier, because I want to give a shout out to Adrian Bozeman, Daryl Orlando's character, because he is the best dressed man on TV, I think.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Like his three-piece suits, it's always three-piece.
Yeah.
It's so stylish, and there's always a splash of color.
Yeah, thank you.
What was your inspiration for that?
He's a showman. And I wanted it to be that he walks into a room and he takes control of the room. And it's funny because Delroy's tall and he's so, I love him so much because he's like so shy and you don't know he's shy. And, because he's a big guy, and he was, I think he was a little nervous about what I wanted to do with his look. And then, when we had him in the fitting the first season and talked about it, and I kind of eased him into it, and he completely relishes it now. And as I said, we custom make everything now for him, except his ties. I buy his ties and his shoes. We buy his shoes. But I wanted him to be a showman. I wanted him to walk in and take control of the room. It's his law firm. And, he's the boss. Now he's the boss with Audra McDonald and with Christine Baranski. But I also wanted there to be, the camera catches some. I always feel like we're full shot for about a half of a second, and then we're immediately like waist up or chest up. And I wanted a lot of interest to be up at the top. So we went with peaked lapels on his suits, with a double-breasted vest, super spread shirts, which we custom make for him as well, ties that are kind of big knots, and just any little bit of accessory we could give to him. And then Delroy and I always keep each other in check with making it too busy or too far for court or wherever he happens to be. But he's really fun and he wears it well and he knows what he likes. Like I'm always like, make those those pants tighter, and he says, no, I like a loose leg. I like to feel the breeze, he says. So it's like, okay. So, but he's a really, really fun character dress. And it's also really fun because you think men's suits, it's like, oh, how boring. But it's actually really fun because then I have a character played by Justin Bartha, this character of Colin, and he's like our potential politician, and his suits I actually buy off the rack. He can wear right off the rack, which is great. And we do a lot of Hugo Boss or Burberry for him. But they're like really straight-laced, really slim, white shirt, very tasteful tie. And, so it's fun to like start getting all these different characters, but all in the world of men's suiting.
Well, this season you also had Luca pregnant because you wrote in Kush Jumbo's pregnancy.
Yeah, and nobody knew it, so she showed up, and we were in the fitting, and she's like, "So there's something I have to tell you," and it's like, "Oh no, you could have told me a week ago." So, and they wanted to hide the pregnancy for the first 5 or 6 episodes. So it was fun, and I think we were pretty successful at doing that. Of course, camera angles helped and everything. The problem was we were shooting things sort of all out of order. So there was an episode where she walks around and she's supposed to look like she's pregnant, but she thinks she's fooling everybody into thinking that she's not pregnant, but it's totally obvious she is, but it can't be.
It's the one with the red dress.
Yeah. So it can't be too pregnant, but it can't be. Well, what had happened was we shot the first part of that, and then for some reason, we couldn't get to it for a couple of months to get the rest of it. And so the dress didn't exist anymore. We found another dress with fabric. So she was really, really pregnant by the time. And so it would look ridiculous that she's walking around thinking that nobody can tell I'm pregnant because she was huge. So, but only in the pregnancy. She did very well with her pregnancy. She looked great. But so they went in and digitally slimmed down her body a little bit because it was 2 months later she was like 5 months when we originally started shooting it, and then she was about 7.5 months, and she, it was just, you couldn't hide it anymore. But anyway, but the thing was, we didn't use any maternity wear on her. I used one pair of leggings that had a maternity panel in the front for her comfort when she wore pants, but everything was fashion clothing. I wanted to stay really true to her character and things that she would really, really wear. And I felt like Luca would not wear maternity clothing. She would find great things.
Her style was very consistent.
Yes, right. That's what we really went for. And it was fun. And we literally had to fit her every week, even on things like if she wore, I don't know, like since you said the red dress on Friday the week before, come Wednesday or Thursday, whatever the next day she worked was, we'd have to fit it again just to make sure everything still fit and whatnot. So that's really fun, when you get to do stuff like that.
Well, you're coming back for season 3. So what do you envision the next step of Diane's fashion evolution on The Good Fight?
Well, I think that all depends on President Trump, doesn't it? Because our story is so involved with politics. We know at the end of this season that she is now financially viable again. She's made whole somehow her investments, and Anthony Rapp, who plays her, who I saw in a restaurant earlier today, so that was fun.
Name drop.
Yeah, well, but he's really fun. It's like, oh my God, because I never come to LA, so it's really fun to come out and be like, wow, you really do see stars in restaurants. So, he tells her that she's financially whole again and whatnot. So I think that her wardrobe will probably step away from the what the heck. She was also emotionally had sort of gotten past that just as we got into the last episode. So I think that her wardrobe will probably become a little more head to toe ensemble. I'm still really loving the whole pattern on pattern thing, though, so I might really try to keep going with that.
Just keep some gold metallic.
A little metallic going on. And she's great. She's, I know you have fabulous actors. I mean, isn't it amazing to work with actors? Can I tell a super quick story? The very first show I ever designed, it was really, really hard because the actors were probably not the most fabulous people. And so look it up, you'll know who they are. And
everyone's on IMDb right
I know,
now.
right? But and so it was just really, really hard. And I thought the show ended, and it was like, oh, okay, great. Then the next show I did, the cast was fabulous, but it lasted about 5 seconds. Like, oh my God, I'll never have such a great cast again. And then I got another show, and I was like, and it ended, and I was like, oh my God, I'll never have such a great cast again. And after a while, I realized, wait a minute, it was the first bad apple. Everybody else is great, So it was a good lesson to learn. But they're really fabulous actors to work with. I'm really, really lucky, and also on Instinct as well to have such a terrific group to work with, and really a lot of input into their wardrobe. It's really important to me to be really collaborative. I work really closely with the actors and with Robert Michelle King, and then Michael Rausch on Instinct, very, very closely working together.